Hey, welcome back to Made Up Wires, where we're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. You can go to soten.z.dev to learn more. Appreciate everybody showing up for my sporadic streams. I used to be very good about keeping a schedule, not so much anymore. But we're still making progress, slowly but surely. And we're going to do some more today. On Wednesday, when we left, we just barely, by the end of the stream, got one of the functions working. It was matching on both PSP and the PlayStation, and we integrated the PlayStation side but didn't get to the PSP side. And so let's do that now. There's a little bit of a limit that I'm going to impose on myself, not because we can't merge these yet, but because I have a PR that I haven't completed yet, and I want to keep those changes separate, and I don't like committing over uncommitted stuff or maintaining a feature branch if I don't have to maintain it. Give me 1 second. So let's get back to that and see what we have, and if this is something that we can deal with without too much issue. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but we'll see. So we had this EAB18 function. We do have a bunch of data here that actually would need to be mapped first. Maybe I'm not going to do this. We'll see. We'll see. Let's try to get the data in place, and then we'll go from there. We don't know what this is, so we could play the game and try to find this. Do we have a sound effect? We did. Let's look up the sound effect. I think it was one of the spike crashing sound effects, so this could be related to like breaking something in the room. So we'll look at sound effects, and we're looking at 608. Stone move. Oh, it could be the doors, the boss doors. Where am I? Too many files open. And is there anything else? So we need to, let's do that. Let's open, Duck Station. See if I can get that going. Oh, I don't have my controller. I have an Xbox controller. Let's see if that one is. Batteries are alive. They're not alive. Rat. Unprepared. Okay, so we're not going to do that right now. What I wanted to do is try to name this file, and I can't do that if well, what I like to do is get a breakpoint at this location and then play until I hit the breakpoint. And I'm not going to be able to do that right now. What makes me think this might be the chairs is that there are two of them. We have a sound effect that... Oh, no, the stone move sound effect. Yeah, it's likely the doors. So my guess is that this is the doors, and we have it in two different scenarios. One when it's closing, one when it's opening. We might be able to actually trigger this sound effect without a controller. So let me see if I can get the keyboard set up. I always have a bunch of trouble with Duck Station when I have to switch controllers. For some reason it doesn't like to do that right away. I'm going to choose automatic mapping keyboard. Excuse me while I get this set up. I'm not showing this on purpose. Hey Yums! I hope so. I hope this helps everybody. That's the whole point of doing all this is, one, so that I can get better, but also to help other people get started or get better themselves. And so, as always, if there's any questions or you want to know about something specifically, I'm happy to try to answer it. I'm not saying that I will. but I can try. Yeah, for some reason, keyboard mapping just does not work for me in DuckStation. It used to. Yeah, so we're gonna not do that, I guess, because I can't get something like a keyboard going. I'll try one more time. Yeah, it should be arrows. Arrows! Any Homestar Runner fans? That is a throwback. Alright, so we won't do that. So my idea right now is that this is doors, but I'm not going to do anything about it. What that would allow me to do is name this init, and I don't have the ability to do that. So what we do have the ability to do, though, is map some of these other items. But even those, if I don't have a name for, mapping them is just extra work for me later. Might as well do it. So we're going to add extern S32 EID. And right now, all we can do is call this unknown 49. That's okay. And that means we're going to change our EID to unknown 49. And let's look for EID. And we should be able to use unknown 49 here now. Actually, this is creating something else. So this is not even the thing that I thought it would be. And we need to map this value on the PSP side. So config symbols PSP, and we should have a bunch of E variables here. So we're going to call this PSP E unknown 49, and our address is going to come from here. And that should be enough to be able to get, let's close all these, to get the correct mapping. Too much open. There we go. This shouldn't affect anything because I don't have anything else that uses these. And so when I change the symbols in the PSP, it's going to rewrite the assembly that uses those symbols, but nothing else. The next parts are these, the init here. I'm not going to worry about that. I am going to go to data, though, and try to figure out where this data is, make sure that it's mapped appropriately to this particular file. So we're going to go to assembly, US boss, BO0 data. And right now we don't have it mapped to this file. And so what I'd expect or hope to see is that in this BA8 file, the 1190 label is the first thing. And we have, I think there's 4 of these arrays in this file. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but we're going to see. So let's open that up and see. It looks like we have possibly 5. This 1190 I don't think is going to be part of this. I actually think it's going to be used elsewhere as well. So let's look for that and see where that's used. So I'm using grep to recursively defined here. So that variable is set originally here in this B7cc8, which comes earlier. So that that particular variable is going to be associated with this B7cc8 file. And so that's going to remain extern. And the next one is this file also is not associated with anything. So this one we do start right away with this variable, and so or label. And so I'm hoping that it ends with this BC label. It doesn't, which is okay. So 13D4 is going to be where our new split ends. So splat is the tool that we use for splitting up the original files, and so we tell splat where different file boundaries are and what C file should be associated with different data. So we don't know what 13D4 is going to be associated with yet, not concerned about that, but this first part is going to be part of 3AB18. And that file just comes from its offset. It's not anything magical. And I'm going to take all this data as it is, and we're going to convert all of this to C definitions. So we need to do a few things to take the assembly definition and convert it into C. And C is nice and forgiving with its definitions, so we get commas at the end and all kinds of nice things that some languages don't. C is pretty forgiving with its... this is no longer extern, but it is going to be static. Static means it's not visible outside this file, or the symbol is not visible outside this file. And what this will allow us to do is no longer rely on that assembly file for this data. And these are what were these? I don't know. We'll have to go look. I'm just going to go through and define all these as signed 16s. These look like X values. If it is the door, it's moving over only 8 pixels? Is that possible? I don't know. Any other Y values? They look the same, don't they? 6 C3? No, they aren't. Huh. I was looking at a framework called Flex, F-L-E-C-S, which is a very minimal entity component system for C. And one of the things I was curious, so this game uses a lot of global values, and in modern programs we don't really do that anymore. I was a little surprised that Flex actually uses a lot of globals as well. So Flex is mostly used for game engines. So I have to reconcile that with how I feel about the world. All right, let's see if this works. So I'm going to go back to the splat entry. Data means get it from the assembly file. Dot data means get it from the C file. And what I'd expect is that this still works and is fine. And it doesn't, which is interesting. So there's a couple reasons that this might not work. I could have screwed up my copying. I could have screwed up the naming. It's possible that some of this data, even though it's not used, is defined in this file. That happens from time to time. So these other two arrays look very similar to the first two. B08C. It definitely is not this file. So let's look to see what I might have done. So there is padding missing, it looks like. And quite a bit of it. Unfortunately, when a failure like this occurs, it ends up shifting all of the data by whatever size the failure represents. And so whatever I did here, let's see if I saved. Maybe that's all it was. Is not say no, I did save. All right, so what I want to see is at 1374, is there a difference there? And there's not. Oh, 1370. That's where I need to be. All right, so 1370. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see this easily, but here's what the original looked like. 3013, etc. We kind of have to remember what that was. 30131810. Those are the same, but then we have BF06, so that's wrong right away. And so that should be 06BF. What we see is our data is starting here. And so it's like we're missing the 21 and 22 and starting with the 06BF. And 06C1. So why would that be? Did I miss? This data is being used. I'm going to... Oh, that's why. Chat, if you can see it. There's one character missing. 2 if you count white space. Scream at your monitor if you're watching the VOD. I was missing the equals. And so now we're good. So we're getting all this data from C, which is nice. This other global is going to be part of a different file. Hey, Dick Dundee. Good to have you. It looks like it's a flag, probably related to... I'm guessing the boss death. That was used in one other function. We could go look at that. My guess is it's the like main controller function for the boss, which is this CC78. I'm gonna jump over to decomp.me and see if that function was started. It hasn't been started. Should we start it? Ooh, it's medium sized, probably too big for me today. So let's do the same thing on the PSP. So we're gonna have to map these two symbols, but everything else should be the same. So I think we can do that fine, and we're gonna get the symbols from decomp.me. So we need two things. We need to find where this data is, and then we need to map those symbols. And I always say this, but it's kind of gross to make symbols that are using the PlayStation VRAM addresses and make them PSP symbols, but until we have names for them, there's not really a good way to do that. So let's go over to decomp.me, look at the PSP version, and we'll find where those symbols are. I'm a human. It wasn't create entity, it was init. So here on line 30, this is our address. Oh, I did the wrong one. That would have been bad and confusing. And everything else will come from the file itself. We just have to find that and map it first. So those will be fine the way that they are. And so let's go find this other data, and we can do the same thing where we find the PSP version of that variable name. We're not going to map these, we just need to know where they are. And again, if this has already been partitioned and segmented correctly, then everything's great. And actually, it looks like it might be, because these values look awfully familiar. So the starting point is correct already, which is good. And I'm gonna do something a little different here. I am actually going to this DB8 is also part of this, as well as DD0. Can't tell if DD0 is. It looks like it. Yes, DD0 is as well. I'm gonna do this in a couple phases. Our corral is there as well. So this is all part of the same thing. So this whole file, fortunately, is already part of this, which is nice. So in Splat, I'm going to keep this as data for now, EO0 PSP, and I'm going to map it to this 3AB18 segment. And that information is valuable and committable. And what I mean by committable, it actually the US version of that is fine too. I'm going to do this. What I want is to be able to commit as much of these splits as possible without necessarily committing the decomp of those functions, because I want to separate those things, and knowledge about where splits are is different from the code that goes into those splits. So I'm going to commit those, and that should be safe. What about these symbols? I think that knowledge of those symbols is fine too, not this one necessarily. So I'm going to undo that. Now I just need to be careful not to commit that later. All right, so now we're here with 3AB18, and I think we have enough information to be able to just copy this this whole file. And it might not work out this way. I do need to continue to use the old PSP name for now, because I didn't map a symbol for that. And then we have to make this a dot data. And that worked. So when when I get that other PR done, I should be able to commit these or merge them into a single file, but I'm not going to do that right now. So we can keep moving on, figure out what the next thing is. So there is one additional file that has a single include ASM. I get a count. No, it won't give me a count. How do I get a count with grep? I guess I need just C by itself. All right, so we have init PSP. That's its own thing. Look at that. We only have 6 files left in here. That's great. Let's do 3B014 next, and I should have about the same. On the PlayStation side, we have a lot more files. Let's get rid of things that end in 0. Look at the PSP ones again. Do the same thing there. So there is the init STInit file that is unique to the PSP, so I'm not too worried about that. Actually, 57 and 57, shocked that those are the same because there's so much more lines in the PlayStation version. It must be all RO data. Hey Dizek, good to have you. And I should rename this PSP file. I'm going to do that. Now I have to be careful, because I do want to include this, but I don't want to include that other change to bring in the dot data. And make sure that that works fine. And it does. Okay, so let's go back to those greps. Let's work on 3B014. Nice and small. Let me see if I have any of these started yet. Top one, no. Next one, no. And I also want to see what the size of those are. Okay, so we have a small RO data, which looks like it's getting embedded into one. So B08C is a somewhat large function, probably 300 or 400 lines. And 19, the other function is a very small function. So let's start with a small one, and then if we have to go back to the other one, I'm guessing that this is some kind of support function. That'll be static in this file. Sometimes it's useful to start the other one at the same time because you may not have enough information here to get the function signature. And let's see if we get our updated compiler. Ah, this is so sad. So Wednesday I was mentioning that it seems like there was a compiler update for the version of GCC that's being used. I think previously we were using Sozu D's GCC 263 with PlayStation patches, which didn't have the same issue, or we were using SciQ 3.5. Maybe that was it. There must be something going on that makes that not appropriate anymore. Maybe some function was found that GCC 2.6.3 is needed. Whatever it is, this GCC 263 is, maybe it's the assembler. I don't know. Whatever it is, unfortunately, that version of GCC is not defaulting to the right C standard, and I can't figure out what the option is for it. Let's actually look over here. So it doesn't have the standard option. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I don't want LS's help. I wanted GCC's help. Yeah. Old versions of GCC are not friendly. So if I give it no args, it's going to yell at me because, or it's not yelling at me, it's waiting for standard input. Trying to find what the option might be. And unfortunately, the string standard is not unique enough. This should support at least the new 89. Here's a bunch of options. So we need a... So we do have the ANSI option. Let's try that. I thought that I did try that, and that's the issue, is that this other version of GCC is so different that not everything works. Yeah, that doesn't work. Let me see if I can. Figure out what's going on here. One second. Well, line comments are working now? Well, that's weird. Let's fix these macros. I need to hop on Discord, and I'm sure was discussion about changing these. And it's possibly different in Master too. I haven't synced for a while. Okay. Weird. The other thing that we do is pass these through CPP first, and CPP might strip all that out anyway. So I'm gonna, I guess, just deal with it for now. What's broken? At some point, and it's my own fault for not paying attention, but at some point the default compiler for this the Symphony of the Night preset changed, and now we're using, I think what happened before is we were using a version of GCC 263 with PlayStation patches, and maybe some other modern patches as well, and now we're not. We're probably using GCC as it might have been in the SDK, and that version is just less convenient to use. All right, so we have, it looks like the first arg is an entity. I'm going to go with that assumption. And I should have done that first. So far, yes. Often what you might find is that the SDK is compiled with one version, and the game itself may be compiled with a slightly different version. But as far as I can tell, yeah, it's uniform for both the SDK and the game itself. I could. Yeah, and that's actually a good point. So if we look at this old scratch where I believe line comments are working. Oh, no. This one is broken as well. Let me look at an old scratch. Old. We'll go back 3 weeks. Yeah, this is broken too. So my guess is they replaced the compiler. That's troubling. So that means that I have a lot of scratches that would have worked in the past and now no longer work, and that's troubling. I think they should have, instead of replacing the binary, they should have added a new one and a new compiler preset. But yeah, that's a bummer. It's possible, like I said, I've been a bad citizen and haven't been on Discord, so maybe people are talking about it, working on it. It's just something that's happened in the last 3 days. Okay, so we're taking the absolute value here, so we should be able to wrap this in abs. On the PSP, this is absolute value is a function. On PlayStation, it's a compile time intrinsic. How do I want to do this? All right, so we have a couple things. I'm going to try moving these into inline. Basically, we should be able to get rid of almost all of the variables. I don't know if that's going to improve or not. It actually looks like this could just be a return. If you want to make it really terse. But that is not the way that's written, and that's not typically the way that these are written anyway. It's possible that var v0 is a real variable, but I kind of doubt it. But that's... maybe this isn't absolute value. It'd be a shame if not. Can't really tell. But GCC is liking this a little bit more. I'm gonna go and grab the PSP version. So our magic numbers here are 19 and 21. It's possible that this is less than equal 18 and less than equal 20. That would make more sense to me. Those are so this would be 32 and this would be 24. I guess less than 25 and less than 33. Is that normal? I don't know. I really would prefer the absolute value, and actually putting this all in one return statement makes a lot of sense to me as well. But let's see if we can... Oh, we know where the PSP version is, because we have these files split already, which is nice. So let's switch over to that one. So there's a couple things that may be different here. How players being referenced might be different. We'll just have to see. That's interesting. So this kind of completely flips around and shows you what an optimizer will do. So there's two cases that return 0, and GCC said, let's, instead of having multiple branches that go into 0, let's, the least likely cases that return 0, or return 1. So let's move that into the unlikely branch. It is absolute value. So let's start fixing this up. And I mentioned this the other day as well, but we were doing this earlier with just the PlayStation version, and you would have to think of all these different permutations yourself, and it took a lot longer. And so it's definitely still possible to do that. We just don't anymore, because this is significantly faster. I do think, though, that I was right about the 24 and 32. So we'll clean these up first. And so what I'm guessing will end up happening is there'll be incorrect registers when I finish this part off. And when we change the equals to, or greater than equals to just greater than, it will match. That's my guess. Okay, so not matching now. There's a couple possibilities. Actually, I'm seeing this here. Where's our absolute value call? We're storing this in a variable. At least that's how it looks to me. So this is the distance from the player. So I'm going to assume that the absolute value is being taken right away, but it's possible that the absolute value is still happening in the expression itself, or the condition itself. See if that looks better. Looks like. So now we have this looking fine. We do have a bunch of conversions that we're missing. So we'll have to figure that out in a second. It looks like this is being reassigned here, I think. Possibly to a second variable, but we'll see if that works. So what tells me that it's a second variable is here we have S0 being assigned, and in that last step, and we don't here. So I think this is actually a second variable for this. This is bizarre for this code. It's usually so terse with variables that I'm a little surprised that this is the way that's written. Okay, so right now our S2 is there, our S1 is their S2, and those are being used the same way, and our S0 is their S3, and those are being used the same way. So I think that's how it's written. Weird and gross. But not my call. Okay, so we're mostly correct, a little wrong still, and part of that is going to come down to these expressions here. So instead of greater than hex 20, we're going to say, or greater than equal hex 21, we're going to say greater than hex 20, and here we're going to say 18, and I'm guessing that will solve it. We still have some register issues. Interesting. Let's move the abs declarations together. That might be enough. No. Oh, my. No. S1, S2, I don't know why these would be together, but oops. Everything else is checking out. Thank you. Appreciate that, Tizik. Tizik corrected me on my variables, which is good. So these are still in the wrong order. Let's try moving this absolute value x down again. Sometimes the variable declaration on MetroWorks, that declaration order changes. And that was it. Look at that. Ah, those are the worst. Those are the absolute worst. That the variable declaration order would change the registers being used is just disgusting. This is bizarre. This rarely happens that that a function would use so many variables for so little purpose. I don't think it improves readability. In fact, I think it makes it much harder to reason about. And I don't like it. Not mine to rewrite though. And so we get the same thing here. The only difference is these symbols, and that's because we're using a macro to get to a field, and we don't have that luxury on the assembly side. There's no such thing as structs and field access on the assembly side. So let's fix this. See if we have the right thing. So we're going to return a bool. I'm pretty sure bool is integer sized or word sized here. And here goes the PSP. That works fine. So there's a couple things here that I think are worth talking about. The PSP version of this obviously made this much easier to solve. Had we just had the PlayStation version, and this is the implementation that the PlayStation version required, it would have taken an unreasonable amount of time. I probably would have thrown it into the permuter because I would never have expected an additional variable being required for the result of absolute value. And I used to say it a lot, especially before we had such easy access to the PSP assembly. Just because a function is big or long doesn't make it hard, and just because a function is short doesn't make it easy. And this is, I think, very illustrative of that concept. So we have one more in the bag. Let's see what we have. So we could start. I won't have time to continue or get all the way through it. We could look at that remaining one. Let me see what else. What else there is. So we definitely have some short ones in 2d6. Let's take something just kind of in the middle-ish. See if I can get it done in the next 10 minutes or so. Probably not. Okay, only 55 lines of assembly. That's not too bad. So I am going to use the Castlevania preset, but then I'm going to change it back to PsyQ 3.5, which should work a little better. So we don't know what the function signature is yet. So I'm going to look here and see if we can get an idea here. So we're switching on offset 24 in this struct. And if that is the step field of entity, then I'm going to assume that's the entity. I can't remember what offset 24 is offhand. It's Z priority in entity, so I don't think that that is a good option. So let's look for other options. Endgame flags, maybe. Enemy def flags, Background layer, probably not. Color, probably not. Definitely not name. So there are versions of Primitive that use this incorrectly. That's a possibility. Let's see what other fields we're grabbing from arg0. Nothing really else. So we have this reference to B171C. I doubt... Oh, that one is matched. Let's see what it takes. This is our unknown Olrox extension. In offset 24 here, we have this pause Y, which is not expected. Actually, no, it's step. It's only offset 24 on the PSP. So let's take this. What luck! So we're taking an unknown Olrox EXT. Are we returning anything? Oops, wrong way to get there. No return, so void. And we'll decompile again, and that should... Oh, M2C can't deal with macros. That seems like something that should be done, or something should be done about that. And actually this is going to end up being a very simple function, so this will be done in less than 10 minutes. Or your money back. If you did a Prime sub or otherwise have blessed me with your support in any way, that offer is null and void. So I don't think we're going to end up having any variables here at all, which is nice. Oh no, don't press new. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can do to get this to compile before doing the work, but I don't think there is. I think it's going to be super simple. So we're not going to have a block 9 here. It's just going to be repeated every single time. And we're I should have done this first, but we're not even going to have a not equal to 0 here. That's usually not the way the code is written, but like I said with that previous function, just because it's not written that way one place doesn't mean it's not written that way other places. As we just saw, instead of having var A1, A2, and A3, those registers are used for passing arguments to functions. And so GCC looked at that and said, well, I can just throw those arguments into registers and then jump to the place where that function is called. Did that actually produce less code than just jumping? Maybe because you get the return for free and the increment for free, so possibly. but I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. Oops, sorry. I think the big thing to learn is writing decompilers is hard, and so like identifying that idiom or heuristic probably doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so when I get rid of these other three variables here that don't yet exist, I'm expecting 100% match. I don't think there's no globals, no other references. This is either going to match or it's not. If it doesn't match, we got some work to do. If it does match, that's it. We got to find the PSP version. Okay, ready? Match or not match? Place your bets. Not match. Because we're using the wrong preset. Everything is hard. Nothing is easy. Let's try this. The Goog told me that I can add a name to the varargs. So do that. Let's. Why did it have to break my beautiful workflow? All I wanted to do was decompile. So that only has to be changed with macros, not with function definitions. Oh, anyway, I was talking about flex earlier and globals, and C23, I think it started with C23. It matches when I get my context right in the right compiler. It matches. Okay, so starting with C23, variable declarations in headers have to be marked extern if you have multiple compilation units, which was interesting to me. And so I had a bunch of code that broke of my own recently. And this I don't think can be written any other way. What we do have to worry about though is what is this function called on the PSP? This one can be static. It should work fine. By work fine, I mean it shouldn't work at all. What should I do? Oh. We don't have this. Interesting. Okay, so we don't have this struct yet. I did have it in. I guess not. I think it's called something else. Let's look in the entity header. Oh, I don't have it at all. All right, so we'll have to get that in there later, but should work fine. And so let's go find this in PSP. A little over 10 minutes, 12 minutes. I used to joke about setting records and decompiling. So we need assembly ASM. That was when we were doing weapons. PSP boss. EO. This is 2D26C. I would have failed this one. I'm gonna guess it's this. Let's do a grep L. Can't start with a dash because otherwise grep thinks it's a arg. So those are the ones with negative hex 400, which would be 1024. Is that right? No, 128, 256, 512. No, that doesn't seem right either. Yeah, 1024. What am I looking for? So I also need negative 300 and negative 40. You get the same three functions that have all of these. Okay. I'll try to figure out which one it is. I don't know that this is the right function, but we're gonna give it a shot. Give it the old college try. And we have some issues with that. Okay, we'll come back to it tomorrow and see. Probably not this one though, because it's relatively late. Actually, maybe that is what it is, because any functions. No, yeah, it's definitely not that one. The ordering is incorrect. So we'll have to come back tomorrow and see. And I've run out of time. So go to soten.z.dev to learn more about the Castlevania Symphony of the Night Decompilation project. Definitely still making progress, and I'll be back next week. Adios.